I'm always making a comeback, but nobody ever tells me where I've been. Underdogs, revengers, and revivalists thereupon. This is modern escapism. Hello, my name is Oodles, the comeback kid of podcasting, and today I am joined by the parry master supreme, it's Gadget.
Hello.
She's back in black, it's Candy Machine.
All right.
He gets knocked down and he gets up again. You're never going to keep him down. It's Stig.
Hey up.
And finally we have... Oh. Where's Biggie?
Biggie, hello.
He's not here today. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it. He had other commitments. So we're just going to press on without him. We will not comment much about his absence today. We do apologise to the Biggie loyalists as well. He will make it up to you all personally and individually.
And we do apologise for this podcast being 20% less sexy.
Yes, exactly. But life finds a way to get in the way of your podcasting. So we do have a patron, speaking of that. So please give us the information.
Yeah, as you alluded to, we have a Patreon. We are doing various things on there. We have various tiers that you can sign up for. If you head over to patreon.com/modernescapism, you'll see the 3 different tiers we do there and what we do. On the first one, it's £5 a month. It's Modern Escapees. That gets you an extended edition of this episode every week, as well as a guaranteed monthly special and any other specials we do. For example, me and Noodles did a Loki spoiler special for all 6 episodes, and we have just released our first episode of Too Faff, Too Curious with Gadget and Biggie going over the Fast and the Furious franchise. That'll have just come out this week, and that's going to be free for everybody, and then everything after that will be on our Patreon. I had a good time editing that and listening to the rants.
I had a good time shouting along at that. It was fun.
Mate, I was shouting while listening to it.
I think, based on what you were saying and what you talk about, I think you're going to enjoy these more as they go.
I do.
As they get dafter and they try not to be as so po-faced.
Self-aware.
Yeah, without getting too much into it, if people haven't heard it yet, I think the problem was they tried playing it seriously, and I didn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Whereas I think where it gets silly, I think I'll probably enjoy it.
Yeah. So if you want to listen to the rest of that series, you can sign up for the Modern Escapees tier. If you are into Dungeons & Dragons players, we have another one called Scorched Sheep, which is our Do Dragons Dream of Scorched Sheep podcast. We are currently up to episode 5 as this has been released, and if you sign up for that, you'll get ad-free versions, you'll get early access, and you'll get access to battle maps, artwork, songs, character sheets, whatever we put together for the show, and you'll also be able to suggest NPCs and items for Gadget to use. And if you're feeling flush, the Biggie Bundle, £7.50 a month, that gets you everything.
Excellent, thank you very much. So, let's start as we mean to go on. Biggie, what have you been doing this week? Oh, he's not here still. Okay. Gadget, what have you been doing this week?
Well, a few things. First of all, a little YouTube recommendation for people, because I was binge watching some of her content last night. A YouTube channel called The Charismatic Voice. She's an opera singer / singing teacher, and she does reaction videos to songs that her audience pointed towards. And the one I watched, which I found absolutely hilarious, was her reacting to Opeth's Ghost of Perdition. Because that is, I mean, if you haven't heard Opeth before, they're a pretty intense prog metal band, very beautiful soundscapes, and then the dirtiest of death metal screaming. And Ghost of Perdition starts with the lead singer just kind of playing this really kind of nice lilting couple of chords, and within 10 seconds just bursts into the screaming, and she is taken so off guard with it. It's so funny, and she's just giggling like an idiot, and she's this like very quiet, very lovely, kind of very middle-class woman, and she's like, oh my god, this is incredible, and she's like absolutely loving the prog metal noise. It's just and the other ones to watch of hers is Kingdom from Devin Townsend, because every vocal coach reacts to Devin Townsend because he's just such an incredible singer. I've been cracking on with Returnal. I've finally got past the first boss after like 30 attempts. That game's incredible. It's potentially bothering Monster Hunter Rise for my game of the year so far.
Okay, now.
It's really good. And I remember when it came out, a lot of people were saying, is this £70 game? It's a Housemark, it's a Housemark roguelike. Is it worth £70? I actually think it is. The quality of the gameplay, the graphics, the sound, the story that's unraveling as you're playing it, I think it could be a £70 game. It's definitely worth what I paid for it. But the main thing I want to talk about is the Grand Tour dropped a new episode this weekend.
God, it did as well. I watched that.
I also did.
Lochdown, where they are taking American muscle cars across Scotland. And I mean, if you haven't seen the Grand Tour, it's basically, Top Gear. It's Clarkson, Hammond and May. Yeah, it's Clarkson, Hammond and May doing silly shit. And in this one, they are taking some absolutely enormous American cars from the 70s. So Clarkson has a Lincoln Continental. James May has a rather burgundy Cadillac Coupe de Ville. And Hammond has a Buick Riviera. And they're all these huge engines. One of them's like an 8-litre engine. It's ridiculous. And they're just driving around Scotland. They have to get from Berwick-upon-Tweed to somewhere beyond the Isle of Skye.
Outer Hebrides.
Yeah, that's it, Outer Hebrides. And it's all right. There were some really funny moments in it. Incredibly scripted.
Mm.
And
has been.
Well, yeah, but like more so than...
Yeah.
Like, they're not even trying to hide the scriptedness of it.
I do like that the Grand Tour does show the road crew more than Top Gear used to do. As if the BBC was embarrassed at the fact that they had a multi-million-pound road crew with them at all times. But Amazon are like, no, we're paying for this. We're showing you it.
That Coupe de Ville was just beautiful. I love it. I need one. I need one in my life.
Are you into the burgundy, are you?
I am.
Good luck parking that in Tesco's car park.
Well, I mean, that's one of the gags. I mean, when they first got the cars out and they showed them, I was like, well, what's it going to be like when they get to Edinburgh? And the first thing they do is they go to Edinburgh and try and drive it around the little narrow roads and fuck it up immensely. It wasn't the best one they've ever done, but like I say, there were some pretty funny moments in it. I quite like what happened to Clarkson's caravan. I quite liked Hammond in a boat. I'm not going to tell you what happens in all these things because it is worth watching. The main thing I didn't like in it is you could tell that there was shorter content because there was these couple of sections where they showed like a video of like kind of old stock cars racing and then like what looked like just like an advert for American muscle cars from the 70s. And it just felt like real padding
Did
stuff.
you not notice the other aspect as well of the haircut changes throughout?
Yeah, you can tell they filmed it over a few weeks.
Months.
I also did notice one thing. Towards the end, they were supposed to be doing a scene that was a typically American town, but in Scotland. That typically American town in Scotland was actually in Swindon.
Yes.
Oh, was it?
Yes, it was.
And the joke about that town didn't pay off,
Yeah, it didn't land.
It didn't land at all.
It took me a few seconds to work out.
Yeah. It wasn't apparent to me, and I went, oh, right. Oh, satire.
Yeah. Some of the banter was funny. Like I say, some of it was really good. What happens to Clarkson's caravan? Me and Pip had to stop because we were just laughing so hard.
James May's caravan, wasn't it?
No. In when they're driving through the forest.
Oh fuck yeah!
Yeah,
yeah, that was the good bit. That. Yeah.
And that was one of those scenes that
wasn't scripted.
Yeah, that was clearly not scripted. And like James, you can hear James May on the mic going, "That might be the funniest thing I've ever seen." Stuff like that. It's like it is
genuinely
really
put a spanner
funny.
in the works.
Yeah,
like they had to change cars.
The whole thing with the American versus Soviet cars racing in a field, that was just that was shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like I say, it's not the best way. I think it's better than the Madagascar one they released a few months ago. I thought that one was really poor.
Yeah.
Because that was them just stuck on one road and it was the same thing over and over again. At least this one, they kind of went off and did diversions and it was a bit better banter. They were less annoyed. But yeah, it'll pass an hour and a half. It's nothing on like the Top Gear like Bolivia special or Botswana specials, which were legitimately incredible television.
Yeah, if you've got a tolerance for middle class moaning old men, you'll enjoy it.
Yeah,
because there is some good stuff in it. I always used to love Top Gear and stuff, even though it's not for me. It's not for the normal citizen.
Yeah,
it's for people that can afford Ferraris.
I do think after Clarkson's Farm, though, the Clarkson Grand Tour shtick is getting a bit weak.
Yes.
Like, for instance, like as soon as they drive past the Scottish border, he starts referring to it as McScotland.
Yeah.
Or when it starts raining, it's, oh, look at that, it's the McWeather, and stuff like that. It's just like, yeah, okay, come on. It's an obvious gag that's even too obvious for you. Whereas when Clarkson's Farm, I found him a lot more affable and a bit more genial and a bit more entertaining.
It felt a bit more genuine, I thought, as well, the farm.
Yeah.
Like, you could tell he was genuine, enjoying himself, learning how to do all these things.
I think that helped as well, like from what I said in my review, is that some stuff he had no idea what he was doing and he was relying on people to tell him, and they all just kind of put him in his place when he tried to be Jeremy Clarkson. And they were just kind of like, nah, fuck off.
Have you not seen the videos on TikTok of people filming? Do you know when he were claiming he were digging that hole on his own, that reservoir in the farm? He'd making a dam and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The TikTok videos going around with about 400 people digging that hole, not him.
Of course it will be, yeah. But like, yeah, like I'll say it again. It's not their finest work, but it's not bad. It'll kill an hour and a half.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Excellent. I'll go next. Seeing as though what's his name's not here today. Forgot his name. Yes. I've been watching. I've been playing a bit of Link's Awakening, the remake. Basically, that got sent to me by some like unknown Irish man. I'm assuming man, but yeah, that was sent to me on the old Borrow. It's a nice little game. That
got some good merch out of it, though, didn't you?
No. Some pebbles to throw at passing cars. But yeah, it's a nice little throwback. This game. I mean, I think I'm on like, I think I've done 3 dungeons and it's just fun. It's just pure fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
There's bits where I've been like, ooh, I am walking in circles until something changes. But I'm used to that with type of games I play. Do you know what I mean? Talk to everybody, click on everything, and you'll get past. But the main thing I want to talk about is a film I watched. A German film. Ooh, cultured. It's called Blood Red Sky or Transatlantic 473, depending on where you're from, or where you're watching it. Sometimes it's one of those, like the German. I think the German one's called Transatlantic 473, and we've got it as Blood Red Sky. It's direct. Sorry,
vampires on a plane.
You spoilt it. Don't bury the lead.
Everyone knows what it is.
I didn't actually. I've never even heard of it. But yeah, it's directed by Peter Thorwarth, which is quite a difficult name to pronounce when you've got a thick Yorkshire accent.
Or a thick hangover.
And a very thick hangover.
You should see the name I've got to try and pronounce later.
It stars Perry Baumeister, Karl Anton Koch, Alexander Scheer, who I adore, I've seen him in other things, and K.S. Seti. Now, as Stig has absolutely not even buried the lead at all, it's vampires on a plane, but I really fucking like this. I really like this film. Now, I'm one of them people where if someone says, like in a WhatsApp group or a messenger, watch this film, I really like it. I like to trust my friends' instincts, or if they know my taste. So, do you know when you go on Netflix sometimes, Biggie won't know because he doesn't know how to use Netflix, but when you go on Netflix and that little trailer pops up straight away, I always try and skip past it so I don't see any of the film. And I'm just in there. So I had fucking no idea. I mean, obviously, I saw it with an 18 rated. It's called Blood Red Sky. So there's something happening. It starts off. Has anyone else seen it?
No.
Funny enough, somebody suggested it to me today, so I'm going to.
Yeah, it starts off really odd. I mean, it is German subtitles, so get used to it. It starts off like a plane's landing, like a big like Boeing planes landing in an airstrip in Scotland, of all places, which it wouldn't normally land in. An emergency landing, basically.
McScotland,
sorry. And there's like anti-terrorist squads like aiming at this fucking plane as it's landed, and a little boy gets let out of a plane, like let out of the cargo hatch, and obviously he ain't a terrorist. So they get this little boy, and they question him, "What's happened? What's been going off?" And then he what's the word? Recounts. Yeah, recounts. He recounts the last 24 hours of his life, and it's very interesting. So basically, his mother and the boy's mother and him, she's seemingly got leukemia. So at the very beginning of the film, she's putting a wig on. She's taking what seems to be leukemia chemotherapy injections, and getting quite ill off it. You see, oh God, she doesn't look very healthy anyway. Very pale. Doesn't like the sunlight, that kind of thing. And little
doesn't
kids
like the sunlight and has blood cancer.
yeah, exactly. But obviously, in the back of my head, I'm like, there's something happening here. She even puts contacts in and stuff like that. So I'm like, So, little kid is waiting in the airport for his mum. She turns up when the sun's gone down. Okay, fair enough. Then they get on a plane, normal trip. She's like, don't worry, we're going to America to get some kind of leukemia treatment, I'm assuming. And the worst thing that could possibly happen happens. A terrorist incident on a plane. So terrorists take over. I'm not even spoiling it because apparently this is the trailer. The terrorists take over. And unfortunately for the terrorists, she hasn't got leukemia. She's a vampire.
Wow. Happens all the time.
It happens all the time. You hate to see it. By the way, the little boy knew. He's not a vampire. He's a boy. But yeah, and then basically, yeah, bats on a plane or vampires on a plane happens. You know what I mean? And it's really fucking good. Like slick.
Is it like horror or thriller or?
Oh, it's
comedy
horror.
Or?
It's horror. It's gory. It's horror. It's messy.
So, so we're not going down snakes on a plane kind of territory here.
No, it's not. It's not a B movie or anything like that. It's not pulpy.
No one gets bit on the tit.
Nobody gets. Nobody gets bit on the tit. No, but the clever thing it doesn't leave any questions whatsoever because throughout the film, she's having the Nadja, she's called the vampire. She's having flashbacks. I mean, I'm going to put a spoiler warning in now because I'm going to start talking a little bit more into the film, but not massively. I'm not going to ruin endings or anything like that. But she starts having flashbacks of her origin because then you're thinking to yourself, why has a vampire got a human child and stuff like that? Do you know what I mean? But all questions are answered, and that's what satisfied me most. You get some of these films, these horror films, and they have that fucking twist at the end. Oh, there's going to be a sequel. None of that nonsense. It's just brilliant. I really liked it. I've looked at the critics' reviews on that, and it's quite mixed. I think it's got an 80 odd on Rotten Tomatoes, but that doesn't always mean anything, does it? Not until the film's settled, basically. Yeah, if you liked, remember Stephen King's novel Night Flyer or film The Night Flyer? Did anyone watched or read that?
I don't remember that one.
That's another flying vampire thing, vampire on a plane type thing. It reminded me of that. It's got a bit of a Die Hard theme to it, believe it or not. Terrorists obviously taking over, and she's basically Count John McClane. it's just
not more of an Air Force One thing, and she's
yeah
Count von President.
Yeah, Count von President. And you root for her all the way through because obviously she was going to America for some treatment. That's all we know. But yeah, the little kid's really good in it. Usually when you see a young kid, he's about 10 years old. Usually you think, oh, this kid's going to be annoying. But no, he were really good in it. One of the terrorists is brilliant. Super German camp, which is like a step up.
Ooh.
You love a bit of super German camp. So good.
I do, yeah. Especially when techno music's involved.
Oh, there's techno music in it? Oh, don't you worry about it.
I'm sold. I'm going to watch it.
It's really good. It's nice and schlocky and gory and that. But it's not horror that makes you jump. So if you don't like horror, because there's literally not a single jump scare in it. It's more visceral horror. Do you know what I mean? Like, ooh, yeah. Vampires. And the best thing I did like about it is when in this universe you get bit by a vampire, you turn into a vampire straight away. So when you're on a plane and you can't get off, shit happens. You know what I mean? But yeah, really good. I recommend it. I'm not selling it well, but it's on Netflix, by the way. Apparently there's an English dub. Don't. That's what I've seen on the old interwebs. Don't. Just stick with the German one. There's a lot of actual English in it by English actors and American actors anyway, so there's not technically that much that you have to read. But yeah, it's just really good. And I'm not even into modern horrors, but this one, it seemed a bit more 70s, 80s, but with a decent amount of like CGI and stuff like that. So yeah.
Cool.
Candy, what have you been doing? You what, mate?
Probably will watch it. It's kind of stuff that Kate likes to watch. So
one downside though, before we continue, it's too long. It's like 2 hours and 30. No, not 2.5. No. I think it's like 2 hours 10 minutes for a horror. Horror film shouldn't be long, in my opinion.
Film like that seems like it should just be a 90-minute kind of thing, really. But
other than that, it's obviously long because the flashback scenes and stuff like that. But yeah, really good. Anyway, Candy, what have you been up to?
A couple of things this week. I've been carrying on with Plague Tale, which I'm really, really enjoying. It's actually much, much better than I was expecting, and it's given me sort of almost sort of Last of Us vibes. But the main thing I want to talk about, I went to go see Old by M. Night Shyamalan. To give you a brief... I've been worried about that this whole time. To give you a brief synopsis, Old's the story of a family on a dream holiday who, on the suggestion of the hotel manager, they take a trip to a private beach. They're joined by a small group of other holiday makers from the hotel. Soon after arriving at the beach, they sort of notice not all is quite what it seems. Not everything is quite right. The children start growing at an extremely accelerated rate, and they sort of come to realise that they all have an accelerated rate of aging, which is affecting everyone. And half an hour kind of equals to about a year in age. So with the clock ticking, they kind of need to figure out how they're going to get off the beach without dying of old age.
What?
It's actually based on a graphic novel, which I didn't know before seeing it. It's the novel's called Sandcastle by Oscar Levi and Frederick Peters. So unlike most M. Night films, there's not a massive twist at the end. It's more a sort of surprise explanation.
He has stopped doing the twists of late, hasn't he? Because people expect him. His last
Exactly.
few
It
haven't.
got
I think he
little bit
mixes.
tropey.
You think he mixes it up a bit, doesn't
Yeah.
he? So sometimes like, will it or won't it have a twist?
Yeah.
That's the twist.
The twist is
Oh.
the twist. I always find his films, I don't know if you're the same, but I find his films can be a little bit hit or miss sometimes.
I only really like one of his films, and that's Signs.
Oh, that's surprising. I would have thought
That
it
is
would have been,
surprising. Unbreakable.
yeah,
No, but remember, I'm scared of aliens, so it's like one of the ultimate horror films for me.
right.
And I also can never escape the fact that he did Lady in the Water.
I've never seen it.
Oh,
terrible.
I forgot about
Dreadful.
that one.
Dreadful
seen it.
film.
Oof.
I like Sixth Sense as well, actually, thinking about it.
Sixth Sense is a good
And the
one.
crappening.
The Unhappening, yeah.
Oh, no, it's the wind!
Mark Wahlberg's like amazing acting.
It's a fucking transformer!
Yeah, sorry, Candish.
So yeah, this one unfortunately was a bit of a miss for me. I enjoyed the concept, and it was nice that the film was doing something different. But I think it was just sort of let down a little bit by the script, and the cinematography wasn't great, and the acting, it was bad. There was some really clunky dialogue, and the actors just weren't really able to sell it for me. It sort of felt a bit like a lackluster sort of read through rather than them actually being on camera. So not even a rehearsal, just when they're first sort of reading a script, which it's sort of a shame because some of the actors. So we got Eliza Scanlon, Alex Wolff, and Rufus Sewell, who you would have seen in other things, and they've always been solid actors in everything that I've seen them in, I think.
I don't think I've ever heard of them, but it's one of them where you'll know the faces, isn't
I
it?
think you would definitely know the face for
Yeah.
sure. But yeah, I've seen them put out really solid performances before, so it's not them as actors. It was just something just wasn't quite clicking, maybe for this. There were some scenes as well where, oh, this is awful, the camera just swings around so much for a prolonged period that I started to feel sick, and I never suffer from motion sickness, never. For example, there's one point where all the characters are kind of standing in a circle and they're talking about what they're going to do, and it's a continuous shot. And as they're talking, the camera just pans around, just swings around the entire time they're talking. Just by the end, it's completely, it's horrible.
You want
It's
to
just
see
a
a man
complete-
throw up on a controller? Watch me play Doom Eternal. That's motion sickness city, that.
That's pretty, and Borderlands as well. People struggle with that.
Mm.
So yeah, effectively, it was like 3 full rotations, and when you're on a cinema screen,
It's ridiculous.
It's horrible. It does have some elements of body horror. That also didn't quite hit the mark. I ended up laughing, and I wasn't the only one. I heard other titters in the cinema.
I saw a trailer for it where it showed some of like the transformation stuff going on, and it looks quite amateurish and like
So-
even given the fantastical concept, it's just like, no, that don't make sense.
It's the concept that's confusing. Like, don't
I
spoil
like-
it, 'cause
I
I will.
like the
I will
concept,
probably
but-
watch it. It's like if you're on a beach that's making you age, leave.
Well, that's explained.
Oh, right, that's good then.
Yeah.
Get
You'd
back in the
hope so.
car, go home.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, story-wise, it's fine. There's no real loopholes other than maybe some aging elements not quite making sense. But yeah, as I said, the story's quite compelling, and I'd be interested in reading the source material, I think. But it just didn't quite hit the mark for me.
There is something I've seen in the trailer which I don't get, and I'm interested to see how that happens. And I don't really want to talk about it here because it might be a bit of a spoiler. But yeah, these are meant to be young kids that have grown into adults, and it's in the trailer. But
You can spoil a trailer, mate. I don't give a fuck. You spoil
because
a trailer.
you might have to explain what happens in the film, like as to why.
Oh,
it
right.
happens with it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. It can allude to an answer that
yeah.
you don't need.
Does it explain why everyone's clothes grow with as the children get older?
I was going to ask. Yeah.
No, that's one
No.
of the loopholes.
They've just got really good denim. Stretches with the body.
I assumed that they just took extra clothes, maybe.
In larger sizes, just in case, because
Yeah.
there's nothing worse than when you go to the beach and you suddenly start aging.
I assume that Shyamalan just forgot.
I would like this to be the film where people come out and realise M. Night Shyamalan is not a very good director.
He's done way more misses than hits. Way
and they
more.
stop giving him money to make these things.
Because he makes money back. That's the problem.
But he made The Lady in the Water, and I can't stress that enough. He made The Lady in the Water.
And Mark Wahlberg's
I forgot about that so hard. I need to watch it again.
Don't subject yourself to it.
So yeah, that was it for me this week. There's other things that I was catching up on, but they're series, so I'll talk about
We've
them
had a
another
little
time.
horror week, haven't we? Stig, have you been watching anything scary?
I did watch a horror, but I'm not going to talk about that.
Okay.
I'm going to talk about 2 things. First one is we watched Jungle Cruise today. This is Disney's latest summer blockbuster, turn a theme park ride into a movie. It stars Emily Blunt, The Rock, Jack Whitehall, Jesse Plemons, and Paul Giamatti. And it's basically a mashup of The Mummy, Pirates of the Caribbean, and Indiana Jones. So the story is explorer Lily, played by Emily Blunt, and her brother McGregor, by Jack Whitehall, set off to the Amazon to find the flower of the moon, which is a cure for all ills, guided by riverboat Captain Frank, played by The Rock. But others are after it, including Germany's Prince Joachim. It's pronounced various different ways in the film.
Is it Joaquin?
Someone calls him Joachim, and then he's like, "No, it's Joachim." It's got a pronunciation on it. Yes, but there's a purpose for that because
Those dastardly Germans.
So yeah, it's a kind of a mixture of them, but it apes the Mummy the most, even to the point
Sounds like it.
where you have
Sounds like Jewel of the Nile.
an English woman, scientist kind of person, with her buffoon brother, exploring something, looking for something, taking on the services of the action hero. So yeah, and then there is like spooky curses and shit going on. So yeah, it's very much like the Mummy, but in the jungle. It was enjoyable. I liked it. There's some funny moments in it. The Rock and Emily Blunt have really good chemistry. It's too long. It's a bit bit over 2 hours. It could have done with some.
Isn't it? Is it? Are they on like a little boat then? Like a. What is that? Is it like? Cause I've just looked at the post. It's like an old-fashioned Steamboat Willie type.
Yeah,
thing.
it's set like in the 1907 or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
oh, cool.
Yeah, set at like the turn of the century.
I just want to see The Rock in some like I don't know, some braces and stuff and little flat
Oh, yeah.
cap.
Yeah, that's kind of what he wears.
And then people going, "How have you got that big in this day and age?"
Oh, that's explained.
Is it? All right.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, it could have done with
one of
another.
those old timey weightlifters with a big moustache.
Yeah.
I just invented creatine.
Yeah, it could have done with a bit of editing. The CGI is a bit ropey in places as well. For a big Disney summer blockbuster, I thought they could have probably done better with the CGI.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a fairly easy plot to follow. Some good action sequences, good set pieces. As I say, The Rock and Emily Blunt are really good in it. Even Jack Whitehall, who at the start of it I was thinking, God, he's going to be the really annoying like character that you're just going to hate. Actually, he becomes quite endearing as more of the film goes on.
That's that chap I watched on the Brit Awards, isn't it?
Yeah, that you didn't like.
Yeah, I didn't like him.
Yeah, I'm not a massive fan of him. So when he started in this, and he's all like, super posh and
So
take
he's
all
not
that
acting
bags
then?
and stuff, and like he's a bit you're a bit like, oh god, but like as it goes on, he kind of you warm up to him a lot.
He's been putting some good turns in as an actor recently. He was very good. I mean, he's playing that kind of awkward posh British boy thing in most things, but like he was quite good in like Good Omens. He was really good at as Newton Pulsifer.
Yeah, he's. I think I've heard he's good at some other things as well, but Jesse Plemons hams it up so much as a bad guy. He's really great.
That's kind of what you want for a film like this, though, isn't it?
Oh yeah, he's proper hammy bad guy. Yeah, it was enjoyable. I had a good time with it. My kids liked it. Kate liked it. We all kind of just sat and enjoyed it. It has really weird section in the middle where it kind of explains something of how something came to be. And there's a rendition of Nothing Else Matters.
Well, Metallica.
By Metallica. There's no lyrics, but like there's like just it starts off and it's like I was like, hang on.
It's a lovely song.
That famous Disney-friendly band.
And then it's like it's a bit of a riff on it, and they start like playing their own things, but it keeps coming back to it. And I was like, that's a really weird choice.
Maybe it's on the ride because it's based on a ride, isn't it?
Yeah, apparently the ride's really bad though, just like really crappy animatronics that like
the Jaws ride, which is that.
Yeah,
wasn't Pirates of the Caribbean a pretty disappointing ride in general, and they made a massive blockbuster franchise out of it?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I don't think this isn't gonna reach Pirates success. There's no character in it like become massive like Jack Sparrow or anything like that. So they might get a sequel out of it. Apparently, it's done quite well, both on Disney Plus and in the cinemas. So there probably will be a sequel to it, but I don't think it's gonna have the legs that Pirates had in terms of movies.
That's if The Rock doesn't sue him.
Apparently, he's come out already and said that he's happy with the decision.
Right. Yeah, because The Rock's not skint. He doesn't need to moan.
Yeah. I think he's probably sorted something out beforehand and also doesn't want to bite the hand that feeds him.
Of course not. Who gives a fuck?
Yes. But the main thing that I want to talk about is I played the Ascent.
I'm looking forward to playing this. I've got this installed. Is it any good?
Yes, I really liked it.
Oh, yes.
I started it as well, mate.
So this is a twin-stick looter-shooter action role-playing game set in a cyberpunk world, developed by Neo Giant and published by Curve Digital. It launched on Steam and Game Pass on Friday. You can play it solo or multiplayer, both online and couch co-op. So if you don't have people to play online with, you could play with someone in your home if they're interested. But me and 3 of my friends gave it a go online. I had a really good time with it. It seems to have got a bit of some mixed reviews. It's sitting about an average of around 70%, 7 out of 10, stuff like that at the moment. But I'm only a few hours into it, but for what I've played so far, I enjoyed it. I think maybe multiplayer is probably one of the ways to go with it.
Yeah,
playing with other people, like kind of.
Usually, I've noticed lately if they've got the option for multiplayer in a story like game like that, or a game that's like could be single, play it multiplayer anyway. Else they wouldn't have put it in if it wasn't kind of designed that way.
Yeah, I think
it's like a Sea of Thieves thing. It's perfectly possible to play a Sea of Thieves by yourself, but it's much, much better with people.
Exactly. Oh yeah, so much better. But yeah, I love the aesthetics of it. This looks so much better than Cyberpunk 2077 does. It does such a better looking city. Like you go into that city and you hit with like this is this is Blade Runner. Like,
mate, the police mechs and the fucking other mechs I've seen in it, they're incredible.
Yeah, the layout of the city, the look with all the lights, the vehicles flying around, the weird and wonderful creatures, everything just clicked with me. But the one thing that I'll talk about for the gameplay is the music is incredible. It's exactly how a cyberpunk game should sound, like full-on synthwave, and like I said, you get those proper Blade Runner like feels from it, like with the music. So even like people who might have had issues with the gameplay and other things, the one thing they really nailed, I think, is the music. It's by Pavel Blaskavac. I probably did not pronounce that right at all, but
Blaskavac?
Blaskavac. Maybe. Yeah, there's 2 Z's and a C and K's in there, so I'm sorry if I couldn't pronounce that. But yeah, it's on Spotify. The whole album's on Spotify, so even if you're not interested in playing the game, just give the music a listen to. If you're into that, it's really good.
I'm looking at some screenshots on the Game Pass app at the minute. Like I say, I've already got this installed. I just haven't had a chance to start playing it yet. I'm loving how stacked the city looks. Like it's like level on top of level on top of level.
Yeah,
like, which is I think that's one thing that Cyberpunk kind of missed out on, because Cyberpunk was very much you're on ground level all the time. And the whole thing with with Blade Runner and with a lot of Cyberpunk related stuff is it's cities can't get any bigger wide, so they get bigger tall.
Like Mega City 1.
Yeah, like Mega City 1, where you get layers on top of layers on top of layers, or like Midgar in Final Fantasy 7, stuff like that.
So it might sound like a bit of a complaint when we got lost. We couldn't find each other at times. So that sounds a bit stupid, but it's because of the way the city is like layered on top of each other, and like you can use icons and arrows to find each other easy enough. But yeah, it's so good. We found the kebab shop as well, so that's the important thing.
You've got to have a kebab while you're cyberpunking.
Oh yeah.
A cyber kebab.
But when you look through the window, you see a dead body on the floor, so I don't know what kebab they're serving.
Probably the same kebab you've ever eaten.
Oh, yeah.
Mystery meat kebab.
Yeah. But yeah, this is it's a top-down view, so the likes of Disco Elysium, Hades, Diablo, that kind of view, look down. I really like the view. I think it works really well for the twin-stick shooter. I know some people have had problems with it, mainly due to like text and commands being a bit too small.
You can put it up though. I did.
Oh, you can, yeah. I had no problem with what my screen I was playing on, but like I agree with some stuff, like some of the vending machines, you can't actually figure out what it is. You go up to it and it just says like press X and spend this much credits.
Yeah.
But you can't actually tell, like, is it a medikit one, or is it a stamina one, or is it like some ammo one? Like that's the only kind of problem I have there with like not being able to see stuff, but
it'll get patched.
Yeah, I think it works fine, like perfectly for the gameplay. For me, it ran smooth, fluid, pretty easy to get to grips with. Once you get to the groove of like dodging, cover shooting, when best to use like your augmented melee attacks, it just clicks. And I really, really like the shooting, especially when you get like a meaty gun. Like when we picked up the shotguns and the rocket launchers, it was like, oh baby, like just going up to someone with a shotgun and just blasting them back feels really like satisfying.
It's the combat is giving me vibes of like Ruiner and Nex Machina and stuff like that, like other twin stick shooters, but like they both had that cyberpunk aesthetic, and it's got that same kind of very bright lights, very neon, lots of particle effects. Oh, it looks lovely.
Yeah, and to be honest, aspects of like Gears with like the cover shooting and the rolling as well. But yeah, if you've got an Elite controller, I suggest using that because you can stick some of the buttons to the paddles at the back. It makes it a lot easier. You don't have to take your right thumb off the right thumbstick. You can kind of just whack a grenade or cover into those paddles, and it just makes things a lot smoother. I won't go on too much about it, but yeah, there's so much to do. Plenty of like side missions. Exploring gives you the ability to pick up weapons, upgrade components, mods, and orgs, which makes things a lot of fun.
And it's free as fuck, isn't it?
Yeah. Enemies drop loads of armor and weapons, which you pick up and use. And the cool thing is, if you're playing multiplayer, is if one person picks it up, you all get it.
Yeah,
so
nice.
So you don't miss out. If you have someone in your party who isn't picking stuff up, it doesn't matter because everyone gets the gun, everyone gets the armor. How you then choose to level those up and upgrade them and change them is up to you. Whether you want to keep them or sell them or attach them, that's your prerogative, but like you all get the same stuff, which is really good. And another thing with the multiplayer, which I liked, is that it spikes the difficulty. It scales it based on how many you've got playing and how experienced your party is. So the cutscene is for like one bad guy will come through the wall, but there'll be 4 because there's 4 of you, so you have to take 4 out. But that's not really an issue.
That's fine though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And the city is, I think it's open, but you can't get to places because they just block you off with harder guys.
It's what we call in the trade meat walls.
Yeah, so we're level 5s, and I leveled up. I was level up for level 5, and we went like a tiny little bit forward, just bumping into a bunch of level 18s in one shot at us all. It's like, so we can't go that way. Let's go around the other way. So the city blocks you off from going places until you actually get better. Like I said, some people have had complaints. It is getting average reviews off some people. It's got really good reviews for others. So there are a few things they could do better. Could do with a run button. I know, like, if you push the control the furthest, the characters do run, but they could do it a little bit faster. You find yourself pushing the roll button to like move forward quicker. There was issues with ray tracing and DLSS on Game Pass for PC.
Really?
And Xbox. So I don't know if they've patched that now, but I'm running a 1060 and it looks really good on my computer. So if you've got an Xbox One X or a really good graphics card with ray tracing, if that's all patched up and running now, that game is going to look absolutely stunning. So there was that, which isn't much of an issue. It's like a couple of hours, you might not have it. It's patched in now, whatever. The map's shit. That's one thing I don't like.
I noticed
that oodles out of it. Then he hits a bad map.
I know. It's one of the first thing that I was like, no.
Yeah, the map.
Is it as bad as the map in Control though? Because that might be the worst map I've used.
That's what I was going to go to.
No, it's not that bad. No, and I am a keen cartographer.
Yeah, it's if you're trying to you kind of get to grips with it, it's okay.
It's adequate.
When you first load it up, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I cannot make heads or tails of this, especially when you're in the main city part where it's, like you said, there's levels on levels, and you're like, I don't know where this map is not helping me at all.
It certainly is not Control.
No. Yeah, so yeah, I really enjoyed it. I had a good time with it, especially with my friends. We're going to play some more of it tomorrow, so that'll be Monday just gone when you hear this. It's a ridiculous, over-the-top cyberpunk twin-stick looter shooter, and it's fun. So I enjoyed it.
It sounds like something we need to do a group stream on.
Yes, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah, really fun. One thing that I did find funny as well is that when you all go into a cutscene to talk to a guy who's giving you some exposition or a mission, is you can still move around. So, like, one of the guys I was talking to, and I was just running around in circles and ducking up and down and rolling on and off the screen just to fuck around, which was just fun. Just little things, stupid things like that. Just made it a bit fun. Yeah, Ascent. I've rambled on. Sorry, but that's
no. It's the hot game of the moment. So yeah, absolutely.
We had to keep this. We had to kind of push this on a bit, didn't we? Because someone's missing.
Yeah, there is something missing in this episode. I can't, for the life of me, think what it is.
Yeah, the Ascent's good.
So, Biggie, what are we talking? Oh, okay. Stig, what is our main topic this week?
I was going to try and do my best Biggie impression then, but I don't think I can do it.
It's apples and pears. I'm from the south.
I haven't got the bass or the. This week we're talking.
This week.
No, I don't have the bass or the sexiness.
We're talking about chimney sweeping.
Oh, it just reminds me. My daughter and I, we watched The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe film this week, and Ray Winston is the beaver, and it's so shit. He sounds so bad. Oh, God. Anyway, yes, this week we're talking about our favourite comebacks of all time, whether it's an actor we thought we'd never see again, or a huge sporting comeback, or a band getting back together and absolutely killing it. That's what we're doing.
That's it. In a nutshell. It's a very simple topic, this one, but it's really engaged me. I like it. I'm a strong advocate for a really good comeback. I've killed 2 podcasts and come back fighting. So
I did think Izidor's going to talk about himself.
this time I'm getting paid. But yes, we're going to start with you, Gadget, because as always, you are usually the number one on my screen.
Fair enough.
And in my life.
Well, my comeback would be Ray Winston, the Lion, the Witch. No, I want to talk about Green Day. So, Green Day, perennial pop punk artists of the 90s. You know, they came out the blocks running with Dookie in 1994. You know, dropping some massive singles like Longview and Basket Case.
Banging
When
album.
I Come Around. And they kind of blew up. And that was like their third album, I think. But then they suffered from the major label success. We've got all the rock and roll and drugs in the world. And they released a string of what can only be described as deeply average albums.
Like Nimrod.
Yeah, I mean, Nimrod wasn't bad, but it wasn't good either. Warning was dull, folky punk, which didn't really set the world on fire apart from maybe Minority. I think it was the only good single from that album.
Yeah, the video of that was good as well, the parade. That was...
That's what I mean. But in general, they weren't very good.
Pound for pound, not good albums.
No, and Macy's Day Parade didn't even chart.
Yeah.
Which was such a weird song to pick from that album as a single. But 2004. Oh, in 2004 they came back. They've been away for a few years now. Up until that point, they've released an album every 18 months or so. Yeah, so Dookie came out early 1994. Then Insomniac was like the next year, which kind of sold well on the back of Dookie. Nimrod was about, just shy of 2 years after that. And then Warning was a couple of years after that. And then there was this gap where they stopped for about 4 years. And it was hailed as, the marketing was hailed as this great comeback for the band. I don't actually think it was a comeback, but it was a return to quality.
It was a welcome home from rehab.
Well, yeah, that's true. You know, I mean, the lead singer Billy Joe Armstrong, he lost all the weight, he got sexy.
He did put eyeliner on.
Yeah, he put the eyeliner on, had the tousled hair. All the little teeny bopper girls went mad for him at the time, and he spawned a fashion.
Yeah.
Of this kind of pseudo-punk goth look that he had.
Yeah.
And they came back with American Idiot, which sounded nothing like anything they'd done previously. But as soon as you heard it, it was the sound that Green Day were looking for throughout the 90s. Like, Dookie was this very high energy, high gain, it was what happens when you put 20-year-olds in a room with a lot of drugs and guitars.
Mainly weed.
No, I'm mainly amphetamines.
Really? Well, the big fat heads.
Oh, yeah.
Very Moorish.
Yeah, that's what they were into. But, you know, they kind of generally cleaned up their act. And they cleaned themselves up from the drugs. And they released American Idiot, which a lot of people took to being a political statement to the point where apparently the FBI had a file on them.
Wow. Bear in mind, though, the FBI had a file on Kiss.
Well, true. And quite rightly so.
Exactly.
They're dangerous men.
Knights in Satan's service, mate.
Exactly. They'll kill you and sell you the coffin.
Exactly.
The Kiss branded one. The American Idiot was classic punk. It was very much inspired by 70s music, so there was a lot of the kind of the Clash influence. There was some of that Sex Pistols angst and rawness in it. There was still elements of folkiness in it, but they experimented and they became the creative musicians that they were always destined to be. They had 7.5 minute long punk songs.
Jesus of Suburbia, yeah, that's like
It's a punk song in 5 movements.
It's the punk Bohemian Rhapsody, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's incredible. And the whole album is not the political statement that everyone thought it was.
Oh.
Although the band didn't help that, like with having like "Wake Me Up When September Ends," having an Iraqi war video. That was just,
and they had the old straight edge black crosses and stuff like. They had a lot of like Down with Wall Street type looking things, and they didn't help themselves, did they?
No, they didn't. But the album wasn't about that. The album was a concept album as well. So not only do you have 7-minute-long epic songs, the whole album's a story. It's a rock opera. And it has since become a rock opera. About St. Jimmy. It's about a troubled young man who goes on a bit of a journey, shall we say, through life, love, drugs, sex, rock and rolls, more drugs, more sex, a lot more drugs.
God, I've never related so hard.
Oh, I mean, you were prime target audience for this in
Mate,
2004.
fucking ruined me.
But it's one of those few albums I can listen to back to front and never get bored of. It's universally a wonderful album, and they also, they released the title track of it, which is a 2.5 minute punk romp. It's 4 chords, it's loud, it's nasty, it's heavy. I remember when it was Zane Lowe on Radio 1 who got the worldwide premiere of the single. I was driving home from work at the time. I worked at a shitty call center at that time. I was driving home, I was listening to Radio 1, and he played it. And like the song ends, and there's like 30 seconds, maybe 5 seconds of silence. He goes, "Yeah, screw the playlist. I'm playing that again."
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And he got in massive trouble from the BBC because he just fucked off someone else on the playlist. But he he just played it straight away again, and it was incredible. And it had the high production values, but it had the rawness. It had those melodies that just get stuck in your head. Like even in the back of my head now I can hear the melody of the chorus of that song.
Fundamentally a pop song, and it's beautifully written and beautifully produced, and everything about it just works.
Yeah, I mean, structurally, it's exactly the same as All the Small Things by
Blink-182,
yeah. But it's just got a bit of attitude to it.
I think that whole album was kind of more of a pop album, but it's not necessarily. I mean, it sounds derogatory, doesn't it? Calling it, it's just a pop song. But actually, you can have good pop songs.
I love
it
pop
doesn't
music,
mean it's it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. But I think there are a lot of people at the time, like the Kerrang crowd, who were like, "Oh, they've sold out," blah blah blah. But actually,
it was the Metal Hammer crowd. Oh, no.
Yeah, sorry.
yeah. The Kerrang audience were right up this album's backside. But I get what you're saying. Yeah, it is fundamentally a pop record.
I think Green Day knew that.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, like, Green Day very rarely released singles which were downbeat.
Yes,
everything was always upbeat. Like the only one I can think of that was ever downbeat was "Time of Your Life," and even then, that's just more of a beautiful song rather than anything.
They did their REM moment, didn't they, with that song?
Yeah, the single they followed up the title track with was "Boulevard of Broken Dreams."
Yeah,
which is an incredible song, and I love that song so much. I bought the effects unit that made the sound at the beginning of it.
It's like a loopy flanger, isn't it? It's weird.
No, it's a tremolo effect. It was on a piece of kit called. It was on a piece of kit that M Audio released called the Black Box, and it was just like a multi-effects unit for guitar.
I think we should play it for the audience.
Yeah, we'll play that sound effect and a little bit of the song because it's fucking great. I remember hearing that song, and when it gets to the pre-chorus bit where the guitar is da 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 da, that the first time I ever heard that, I remember it was like chills down my arm. I was like, "How are Green Day doing this?"
What mainly blew my mind about that album was his voice. He'd clearly been trained. He's clearly been training his own voice. He was not slurring his words as much. His pronunciation was better, and he clearly had been training his vocals, and it just sounded better, and it always has done since.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been as big a fan of Green Day's more recent output because they've lent a bit too far down that folk punk line for me. But I think American Idiot was like the turning point in their career where they stopped being this kind of punk band just knocking out 3-chord songs.
To a rock band.
It made them a stadium band, I think.
Yeah.
And it was like the tour the tour they did for American Idiot was 2.5 years long. It was like a Metallica tour.
I saw him at Milton Keynes, and I was about 2 miles away. Lot of bodies there.
I mean, Green Day were my first ever gig, and I saw them when they did the International Super Hits tour, which was 2001, I think. Yeah. So it was before this. It was just after they'd released Warning and their best of. And then I saw them on the American Idiot tour in Newcastle shortly after the album released, and it's like it was night and day.
The difference,
yeah, the quality of the live performance, the quality of the songs.
They also stopped pretending they were a trio for a while.
Yeah,
because they are not a trio. Yeah. They are not a trio.
Well, they're not a trio now. I mean, American Idiot, they were still officially a trio. They just had a touring guitarist. Now that guitarist is part of the band.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a really good album. And even if you're not kind of into punk music or rock music, I still say it's worth a listen. It's got some absolutely banging tunes you've got ballads like Wake Me Up When September Ends. You've got obviously Saint Jimmy, which is the other
Are We Waiting, isn't it?
That's the other huge 7-minute long song.
Yeah.
Holiday is just an absolute stomp and romp. It's wall-to-wall bangers on that album. It's so worth your time to hear.
Excellent. Great pick, mate. Great pick. We're going to move on from music now because I've got a sneaking suspicion my good friend Stig has got something to discuss on the sports side of things.
I'm going to tell a story.
Oh, my God. Strap in.
I'll get me pillow.
Mm-hmm. The date, 25th of May, 2005. The venue, the Ataturk Olympic Stadium, Istanbul. The occasion, the 2004-05 Champions League final. A match contested between Carlo Ancelotti's AC Milan and Rafa Benitez's Liverpool. This Milan side, probably one of the greatest assembled sides of all time, featuring the likes of Cafu, Gennaro Gattuso, Paolo Maldini, Andrea Pirlo, Kaká, Clarence Seedorf, Andrea Shevchenko, and Hernan Crespo, played the Liverpool team under a new manager with one world-class player in its team, Steven Gerrard, and a team of very good to average players. AC Milan were the previous year's champions of Italy and finished second that year, whereas Liverpool finished fifth on goal difference, 37 points behind the winners. Liverpool hadn't been to a Champions League final for 20 years, whereas Milan, they'd won it 2 years prior. On paper, this wasn't a contest. Milan's team far outshone Liverpool's, and they deserved to be in the final. But so did Liverpool, through sheer will and determination, and what is known as a ghost goal. Liverpool found themselves in the Champions League final once again, but in the process, they knocked out Italy and the Italian and the English champions. So they did pretty well. But things didn't go to plan for Liverpool. After only 1 minute, Paolo Maldini put Milan ahead, rocking Liverpool and just causing them to struggle to get into the game. And on the 39th minute, Hernan Crespo scored the second, only to follow up on that 5 minutes later to make it 3-0.
3-0 up.
Liverpool went in to half-time 3-0 down in their first European final in 20 years. As a fan, at that point, I thought that was it, done for. I was absolutely devastated that we'd got to this final under what was a pretty average season. As I've said, we finished fifth. We hadn't done very well in the league. We hadn't done very well in the other cups. But somehow we persevered in the Champions League. We just got out the group stages with an absolutely belting third goal by Steven Gerrard. And as I said, we managed to beat Juventus and Chelsea on the way to the final. So it was just heartbreaking to be down 3-0 at half-time.
It's ridiculous.
And to just think, what the fuck is this score going to be by the end of this game? Are we going to lose like
5-0?
Are we just going to be absolutely embarrassed and lose 5, 6, 7-0?
Yeah.
They're going to just come out and absolutely destroy us. But spurred on by a chorus of You'll Never Walk Alone, and from reports that came out after a rousing halftime speech by Gerrard.
And some Space Jam Magic Water.
Yep. By what I've heard and read, Rafa Benitez didn't say a single thing at halftime, and Steven Gerrard did it all.
I heard that as well.
Talk. So Liverpool went out on the 54th minute. Gerrard latched onto a cross by John Anarisa and headed Liverpool's first goal in. cheering the team on, waving his arms in the air. Come on, let's go. Let's get going. We've still got a chance here. It's only the 54th minute. We've got a chance here.
Yeah.
2 minutes later, Liverpool score another one.
Was there a penalty, that one?
No, Vladimir Smicer scores from about 30 yards out.
Oh, yeah.
Smashes the ball through the defence, past the keeper into bottom left-hand corner.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm at home going absolutely fucking crazy, just like throwing cushions around. Like me, my brother, and my dad just going mental. I don't know what to do. All I can do is just throw cushions around because I just don't know how to handle myself.
Don't break anything, but be excited.
Yeah, I was throwing it on the floor, like just jumping up and down. And then a mere 4 minutes later, Gerrard is through on goal and he's pulled back by Gattuso and Liverpool get a penalty.
Yeah, that's it.
Up steps Xavi Alonso.
Yeah.
And he misses.
I know.
Just a butt, he bags the rebound and he levels the game. And we have come from 3-0 down at half-time and in 6 glorious minutes, the 6 most glorious minutes I've ever witnessed in my life. And I know a thing about 6 minutes, and things lasting 6 minutes.
Whoa! Comebacks, not... In fact, I'm not even meant that joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris Pratt made that joke much better.
Yeah, I'm just having a joke at my own expense there. I'm obviously much better.
Yeah, 7 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. But 6 minutes and we're back in it 3-3 and it's just unreal. Honestly, at this point, I really don't know what to do with myself. It was just...
It's crazy, isn't it?
Absolutely incredible.
Not heard of.
From a game, it isn't. It's a final of the Champions League. We are 3-0 down to one of the greatest teams ever. That team is a team of world-class players. And I said we had like one. Xavi Alonso at the time was on the up, but he wasn't the player he became.
Yeah.
And the game peters out to a stalemate. It ends up 3-3. We go to extra time. There is a moment in extra time, the 117th minute, where Dudek pulls off the greatest save he'll ever do in his career. Absolutely heart-stopping. Shevchenko gets the ball, and he's literally point blank on goal. All he has to do is put this to the left or the right of the keeper, and it's a goal. And he shoots, and he hits it, and Dudek saves it. And then it rebounds back to Shevchenko, and he smacks it again, and Dudek makes another save. He saves 2 shots in like quick succession. And the moment he does that, the camera pans in on him, and he does this little nod to himself where he just goes, fucking right, I just did that. Like, there's a recognition on his face where he's like, I've just done that.
Yeah, self-worth, like, 1,000,000%.
And then the game, again, it ends up, we go to penalties. And penalty shootouts are horrendous. When your team is... I mean, it's bad enough watching a penalty shootout.
They should be banned in football.
When you're not even invested in it, it's still quite nerve-wracking, like watching penalties. You kind of get excited about it, but when it's this big and it's a penalty shootout, it is just, and it's your team, the nerves in you just want to sit there, like you just want to cry. Like, it's just so nerve-wracking.
Yeah, for those not in the know, the Champions League is the pinnacle of club tournaments.
Club football in Europe.
It's fucking...
It's and like I said, Liverpool had dominated the 70s and 80s. In the European scene, I think we'd won 4, we'd been to 6 finals.
Yeah,
and this was the first time in 20 years. And their first player steps up, Serginho, and he misses.
Yep.
And then we step up and we score. And then they miss. And at this point, Dudek's doing some crazy jelly legs. He's literally waving his arms around. He looks like one of those wacky inflatable tube men.
Wacky waving arm inflatable tube man.
He's on the line. He's doing his dance. He's trying to put them off whatever he can do. And he does that. They miss 2. We score 2. Risa steps up. Risa, a man who is usually known for his goals that he blasts the ball.
Back of the net.
And he tries to place it. A really weak, timid penalty. And he misses. They score the next 2. We score 1 more, and it comes down to Shevchenko, their talisman player forward, to take the 5th penalty. And he steps up. Dudek does his little shuffles on the line, jumps, and he saves it. And Liverpool come back from 3-0 down at half-time against a Milan team to win the Champions League final. And it is one of the greatest days in my life as a Liverpool football fan. screamed the house down. I've watched numerous documentaries of it. It makes me cry every time I watch it.
Mate, it were huge not being a Liverpool fan.
I absolutely love it. I think it is the greatest comeback in a football game, especially a final.
In a single game, I think it is. I don't think it will be beat.
No, Man United fans can bang on about coming back against Munich.
We'll talk about that.
All my Man United friends say, "Oh, we had only the last couple of minutes of the game to score 2 goals to win it." You didn't.
No,
you had from the 6th minute
to
score 2 goals. It just so happens that you scored them right at the end of the game. Yeah, we had 45 minutes to get 3 goals, like just to draw the game.
And then win in pens.
It will never be beaten, and it is the greatest comeback of all time in football. And it just happened to be for the team that I support. And we talk about it all the time, and I don't care if people say all you do is bang on about it. I don't give a shit. It's worth talking about because it is an incredible comeback and a great achievement in sport, and I just fucking love it. So
it is a good comeback, mate, especially after like 20 years, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, as well? Not just counting those 90 minutes. It's just fucking...
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not a Liverpool fan at all, but every sports fan needs to respect that moment. If you were madly into basketball, not football, you'd still see it. You still know what, when a clock's ticking down or up, you know what it means in a final.
Yeah. Honestly, that if you put those 2 teams together on paper and just said to someone who wins this match without any knowledge, it's AC Milan every time.
Yeah.
That team is incredible. The manager is incredible. But just for whatever it is, whether you call it fate or luck or whatever, that day was just
magic water, I call it.
Belonged to Liverpool, and I'm so glad it did. So.
Excellent.
So you can wake up now, Gadget.
Yay! Oh, sorry, I was just singing carnival theme tunes in my head.
Look, to stick up for Stick, right? I don't think you have to be into sport or football at all to like appreciate that like athleticism and just.
No, I get it. I mean, the closest thing I've ever had to that was in I think it was, I can't remember, it was early 2000s or late 90s, but when Newcastle went to Barcelona in the Champions League and came back from 2-0 down to win 3-2 because Faustino Asprilla decided to wake up.
Yeah.
It's so good. A comeback in sport is one of the most incredible things. I'll mention another one a couple more actually in my
get ready
in the Patreon section. I'm not going to bang on about much. I'll just kind of mention them, but just that one. Just if it had been a random game, like you come back to 3-3, fine. But it was the Champions League final, the pinnacle of club football in Europe.
Yeah,
and just it was so amazing. And like I said, I love going back and watching the highlights. It gives me goosebumps to just watch the highlights. Even knowing the result,
it's huge.
Doesn't matter.
It's huge.
Yeah. So I wish Biggie was here just so he could
cry with you.
Yeah. But, I don't know where he is. Biggie!
Shout out.
Biggie!
No, he's still on toilet, I think. Candy, what you bring in? She's going to go, Formula 1.
My favourite. How did you know? No, I'm going to talk about God of War, the reboot / remake. So before I start, I'm just going to put a quick spoiler warning, not for the latest God of War, but for the sort of older games. So Gadget, if you could put the klaxon in, please.
Oh yeah, okay, I'll break it out of storage. It hasn't been used for a while.
The horns of
Dust it off. That was a good one. I like that. That's the new one.
If you want to avoid spoilers for the entire God of War series, skip ahead to 1 hour 24 minutes. Thank you.
So the original God of War was released in 2005 for the PS2, and it was the game that introduced us to Kratos and sort of set the foundation for what the franchise would become. The game takes place in a sort of fantasized version of ancient Greece, a theme which would sort of continue throughout its multiple sequels. Gameplay-wise, it introduced the mechanics that would be seen in sort of the next installment. So you got blood, gore, puzzles, you got the Blades of Chaos, and a sort of distinctive
quick
fixed
time shagging events.
Perspective. Time shagging events, yeah, which have been taken out. It was sort of
out
perfect...
of 10 wouldn't play again.
It was a perfect mix of striking imagery and a bit of dark humor, and it arrived during a real rich period of video gaming narratives, with developers starting to tackle more mature, ambitious stories, and it was probably one of the best-looking games of the PS2 era. Kratos quickly became a recognizable, more mature mascot for PlayStation. Now, in the original game, Kratos was not a bloodthirsty psychopath. He was unforgivably awful, but he was more of a tortured soul, sort of bent on revenge after being tricked.
Slave for a while, wasn't he?
Yeah, so he was sort of tricked into killing his family, basically.
Oh,
as I said,
gods.
Bloody Ares.
Ugh.
So he was a terrible person, but it was easy to sympathise with his
It
quest
wasn't
for
his fault.
absolution.
Mm.
So the original game, the sequel started... After the original game, the sequel started to become almost a bit of a victim of its own success.
Mm.
So God of War 2, released in 2007. It did to critical acclaim.
Way better than first.
And again, it was visually stunning, but it started to sow the seed, I thought, of... it kind of almost hit the same beats in terms of the story. It didn't move it forward in any particularly meaningful way. It also became harder, I think, to feel any sympathy for Kratos. Instead of he just kind of became an unrelenting killing machine. And in God of War,
he was almost enjoying it by the end of 2, wasn't he?
Exactly. So rather than being bent on
if you remember the ending
revenge-
to 2, he wasn't enjoying what happened to himself. Trust me.
No, enjoying the violence. I mean.
Oh right.
Yeah. So yeah, he just became a bit of a killing machine, and in God of War 3, it's almost as if the developers tried to mask that fact.
You mean that God of War 3, aka climbing a mountain simulator?
Yeah, that's the one. So they turned up the gore, I think, to disguise the fact that it was just another. It was just a rehash. And
3 annoyed me so much. You got so far up Mount Olympus and then to knock you straight back down again.
It
back
sort of became
into
a bit of a running.
Hades,
Yeah,
climb
it became
back
a running joke.
Yeah.
Down you go.
I did really enjoy the puzzle box though. That was an incredible level.
Yeah, I did. I like that.
I don't even remember that bit.
It's
been a while.
It's effectively the labyrinth.
Yeah, the labyrinth with the Minotaur.
Where it's just a giant 3D puzzle box.
Yeah.
Fucking great. Like one of the best designed levels in action gaming.
Which they copied on Resident Evil 4. Or did Resident Evil 4 came out first. That had that.
Yeah, Resi 4 was out first.
Which is the same, more or less, but as Resident Evil does, it just put a big boss in there instead.
Yeah.
That'll do, just shove it in. So it just didn't really evolve as much as other franchises at the time, and it was a time where things were really starting to be pushed, and it just became a little bit stale. And in terms of the story, it's sort of written itself into a bit of a corner. The Greek setting was getting a bit tired. All the Olympian gods were already dead. And
there wasn't any more Olympian myths.
All the Titans, all the gods.
Everyone had gone. So there was just nowhere else to go. And then God of War Ascension, it released to sort of lukewarm
prequel
reviews.
though, wasn't it?
Yeah. So that's the only way they could have gone. They had to go the prequel route because everyone was dead. So the numbers kind of it released. It sold barely more than 250,000 copies. I think it was about 300,000 copies at launch.
Plus there was 2
kind of
other
pales.
PSP games as well in between all that. So it just
I think they really re-released the first one as well for PS3.
Yeah.
Didn't Ascension kind of fail mostly because it came out just after the PS4 came out, and it was a PS3 exclusive?
It was buggy as well, mate. Actually, Ascension.
Yeah, like it was rushed out. It was delayed, and it came out after the PS4 came out, so everyone had already traded in the PS3s. And like,
it was one of the first games I'd ever been experienced to save glitches. Where you lose so much progress.
Oh, that's a killer.
Yeah.
Until you reached Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Oh!
We don't talk about that.
No.
So in 2018, the series got a sequel/reboot. I think we could probably call it more or less a reboot, can't we? So it switched from its Greek theme to one of Norse mythology in a move that was drastic, but it really needed to give the series a fresh look and perspective. And I think that really is what made it work. Norse mythology at the time it came out, which is a couple of years ago, really, really, really popular.
It's the new zombies, isn't it?
It's the new zombies. Vikings is out. Thor was out. So absolutely bang on the mark with that one. Visuals, absolutely stunning. The gameplay is seamless. There's no loading screens. You can choose to play it without the UI, and it basically plays like a movie from scene to scene. No cutaways. Every different environment is unique. It's so detailed. It creates just unbeatable immersion. And I think choosing it's Christopher Judge, isn't it? Christopher Judge plays Kratos.
Boy.
He's so brilliant.
It's Biggie when you need
him. Yeah, we need him right now. His voice is absolutely incredible. It's just iconic. So Kratos, he's matured into a sort of world-weary father with a soul. He grew a beard. He grew more of a bit more frowny as well. A few more frown lines.
Yeah.
Better costume.
Yeah.
So he's matured into a world-weary father, and he's got the sole responsibility of looking after his son Atreus. And it's just kind of been sort of thrust upon him. The reboot story, it's so remarkably deep and personal, and the relationship between Kratos and Atreus, it just deepens throughout the game. You see both the characters take on a personal story arc as they learn to sort of work with one another and bond as a kind of family unit. Now, obviously, I can't relate to being a dad with a son, or I can't even relate to being a parent, but I can relate to having a dad, and sometimes finding it difficult to sort of find that common ground to relate to them and make a meaningful connection. And I feel God of War perfectly encapsulates that kind of relationship. Kratos struggling to relate to Atreus, and Atreus going
as
through
a Viking and a father of a boy, I am qualified to discuss this. I genuinely think it's probably one of its top 5 PS4 games. I think it really it did something for the genre as well. People say, "Oh, it's PlayStation. All they do is third-person story action thing," but
when they're that good, you don't care.
Yeah.
Thank you. When they're that good, you don't care. And that one hit so fucking hard. The oh my god! And this is not even spoiler. The beginning scene where Kratos is fighting the at that moment stranger. Fucking hell! That
for an opening boss fight, that's incredible.
Sorry, 25-minute boss fight.
Yeah.
It's so brave of Corey Barlog to just be like, you know what, this is going to be quite tough.
Straight in you go.
Straight in, and then the fucking bravado on Barlog to be like, yeah, you are going to be escorting a character. By the way, he's your turret. He's going to help you massively.
I think what Santa Monica Studios managed to do, and this is an even better casting choice than having Christopher Judge as Kratos, is the lad that they got to play Atreus. He is so good, and they managed to make it so that the child is not annoying. Because you have so many action games where you have like a younger sidekick or whatever, or in some capacity, and they get on your nerves. But
yeah.
Atreus, I can't remember what the kid's called, but the
Sonny Sujic.
That's it. The actor plays him so well, and he's so brilliantly written, and there's so much pathos between him, because there is all this thing between like Kratos is wanting to teach Atreus a lesson, like how to survive, how to not be a slave to your emotions and stuff like that, and then you've got Atreus is just desperate for his dad's approval and desperate to be like his dad.
Yeah.
But
have you seen the making of it, where they make Sonny and Judge go on like a camping trip for like a few weekends, like to proper bond and throw axes at stuff. It's so clever what they do.
One of the great things about it as well is like what Gadget alluded to, when you have games with younger characters in, a lot of the time it's just escort missions and they get in the way and they piss you off. But they made it essential.
Yeah,
Trace has got teleportation powers as well. He can appear whenever he wants.
It wasn't like he was like, oh, I'm going to have to like keep... It wasn't one of those ones where he's constantly going to get attacked and I'm constantly going to have to save him. It's like, no, he's actually going to help you out. He can level him up. You can like use...
He's your little mage, isn't he?
Yeah.
Powers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he can help with ranged attacks and things like that. Yeah, like they did that so well. So well.
I think it's genius. I think it's a pure 10 out of 10 game, and I'll argue with anyone on that.
I find it really difficult to find anything wrong with it. But
Same.
going back to what you said about him not being annoying, I mean, there's an annoying phase that he goes through, but it's all part of the
deliberate.
story act. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. And it's
Which my son is currently going through at the moment. But
it's like he becomes a
it's not
teenager
few
and then a
hours.
man throughout the game, doesn't it? So
Yes.
he goes through from a child to a teenager to acceptance.
Make sure you take your son's bow and arrow off him then. If he's getting that annoying phase, he might go off
I'll
and
give
do
him a
something
crossbow because I was sicking him there.
stupid.
Just in case. He knows about the cow guns. He
Oh,
knows, so he's getting
right.
ready.
But yeah, it's one of the greatest review games on the market, and it's one of the games that defines the PS4 generation, I think.
The twist kind of about 2/3 of the way through when you go back to the cabin.
Oh.
Are we going to break the one? We're still under spoiler klaxon here, so I think we can.
Do it again.
Okay.
That's your second one.
Double super secret spoiler here for this one.
Yeah.
But when you go back to the cabin and you got the Blades of Fury.
Oh my god.
Oh!
Yeah.
Me.
No, but it's not even that. It's when you're on the boat and Athena's talking to you.
Oh yeah, true, yeah.
Oh.
But it was just, I mean, it was just that moment of like that realization, I bounced off the game when it first came out. I just wasn't in the headspace for it, and I got it again like shortly after me and Pip started dating, and she was watching me play through it. And when we got to that moment going back into the cabin, and I'm just like, "Ah!" at the top of my voice, and she's like, "What? He's just got another weapon." It's like, no, this isn't the first game.
It's when he takes the bindings off his arms where the brands are, and he's like, I am unleashing the monster that I've been hiding for the past 50 years or whatever he's been hiding from.
No, several thousand years.
Sorry, yeah.
He's gone from ancient Greece to reasonably medieval.
Hell. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's a few thousand, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's like the game has, leading up to that point, has all these hints that it is a sequel to God of War 3, but nothing confirming it until you get that moment where he gets the Blades of Fury out, and it's
the
just
same actress that did Athena in the other games. Oh my god, it's so good.
It's just so many little features in it, and just the way it mixes in the Norse mythology as well. But your little talking head, I can never remember his name, that sits on your belt.
Oh, he's so good. I forgot about him.
Yeah, Mimir. That's giving you all the exposition.
Smash Man Alive.
Yeah, just giving you the exposition during the loading screens, quote unquote.
Yes,
because there is loading screens in it. But it's like when you're wandering around the teleportation areas and stuff like that, and he's just giving
Rainbow Bridge and that. Yeah,
giving Atreus a bit of exposition, a bit of Norse mythology,
and never finishes his story when he's on the boat.
Yeah,
I always let him finish. I stayed on that boat until he were done.
or Kratos attempting to tell jokes. Like these moments where he it's no longer God of War, it's Dad of Boy, and he's trying, and it's so sweet because you usually get these sequences like just after you've had a really kind of harrowing set of combat, usually with a big boss fight, like the fucking dragon boss on the mountain. My God,
oh, that was horrible.
But when you get these moments of like quiet solitude with Atreus, and he's like, "Dad, tell us a joke," and he just comes out with something dreadful.
He tells. I'll not spoil it, but he tells a joke on the last boat trip they have in the game when you just go into the end and stuff like that. And Atreus goes, huh. He does that. He's like, "Oh, he's done it." He's made him chuckle, and I'm like, "Yes, man, yes, you've done it."
And it is, the ending is also one of the 5 games to make me cry.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
Because it hits differently, that ending.
It does.
It's like the culmination of a journey.
Just beautiful.
I think you have to play it if you own a PS4. You have to.
You don't need to have played the older games either. It doesn't.
It tells you everything.
I didn't. I've never played a single God of War until this reboot.
After you get to the Blades of Fury bit, it does a pretty good job of explaining the last 3 games.
Mimir talks about deep cut PSP games where he says, "You had a brother, didn't you?" It's like, yeah, he did actually. He killed him as well. But yeah, Mimir gives you all the context you need in the whole game. If you listen to him, he talks about every single God of War game leading up to that, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
So fucking clever. What a great game.
So good. Such good voice acting. I love the I can't remember her name, but the witch, the wood witch.
Freya,
that's it, yeah. Like, just all of it is so good.
Yeah, man. It is so good. Good, massive. That is the pinnacle of like comeback. That is that. No one can you remember the announcement trailer at E3 and everyone was screaming.
So many good trailer reacts as well.
Yeah,
Because they
that's
actually
real.
played that. They were playing. The orchestra was playing live, and they were playing
Yeah.
along to it. It was live action gameplay, so that was pretty incredible.
Absolutely. He's just fucking mind blowing.
So
And
you
it-
do know how to do a good announcement at E3 when they turn up, don't they?
Yeah, when they turn up, they'll never turn up again. But excellent, good choice. Now it's Big. Oh, Big is still not here. Okay, looks like I'll have to round this off then. Can I talk to you about Sir David Bowie,
You may.
please?
Was he a sir?
Nope, but I am crowning him a sir.
Okay.
They won't give him a knighthood. He's got a criminal record and everything.
I don't think he'd have accepted it, would he?
Probably not. So, Bowie is the comeback king when it comes to music, in my opinion. When he got bored, he bounced back and completely reinvigorated his style, pseudonyms and musical styles. But what I want to talk about is the 10-year gap of Bowie. So, like from 1966 or 67, Bowie's self-titled album first came out. He'd been in other bands that didn't kick off and stuff like that. And from that moment on, he's released an album. He released an album at least every year, sometimes twice in a year. So consistently just create. Not all of them hits, as we all know. Some of them absolute stinkers as well.
Oh, he released some dross over the years.
Oh, God. Oh, he really did. But constantly just trying to change his style, his image, everything about him. You all know Bowie. I don't have to constantly explain who Bowie is. But yeah. And then in 2003, he released Reality. Not a terrible album.
Not a good album either.
Not a good album either, but... And then that was it for 10 years. He appeared on a few films as a 1 minute extra, or you know what I mean? He turned up. He always had a little cameo, didn't he, in certain things and stuff. It's Bowie, look, ooh, that kind of thing. And then in 2013, he released The Next Day, a good album, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Not my favourite Bowie album. And like I say, the fact that I'm not gonna drown on too much because I think we've been talking a lot, but the fact that like he consistently released an album every year for fucking, someone do the maths, 30 odd years or whatever, and then just stopped 10 years off, come back with that, and not many people knew that he wasn't in the best of health, was he, at that point?
No. So when he released The Next Day, he himself was fine. It was after that he got diagnosed with cancer.
Is that when it was? Yeah.
Yeah,
Because then
so-
obviously the incredible album Black Star was released in 2016, moments before his death.
The reason for the gap from 2003 to 2013 was because of poor health, because he had a heart attack on stage in
Yes.
2004.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And he kind of quit the music scene. And like it was like after that, like when he had the heart attack, he never played live again. Never
Yeah,
stood on
yeah.
a stage.
Yeah, which is a shame because like we did, like I said, we did see him in certain things, didn't we? We saw him in extras, and remember they scene in extras?
I remember it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chubby little loser. That
It
was
was, he played Tesla in,
yeah, Nikola Tesla. Yeah.
yeah.
He was in Zoolander as well, briefly.
Oh yeah, he is. He does the walk off, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. The
The
when he
pose
comes
off,
out as
yeah.
the judge with Billy Zane. Love Zoolander. Didn't like the second
Oh,
one.
the second one's terrible.
But yeah,
The second one.
Yeah. It's
yeah,
awful.
don't watch it. But yeah, for me, it was like, I just like, I know Gadget's a massive fan of Black Star as well as I am.
That's a top 20 album for me.
That's an album that makes me cry listening to it because you know what it means.
Mm.
But like, The Next Day, it's got some good tunes on it. They're not as memorable as fucking Let's Dance and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Like his top 5 albums are Let's Dance, 10.7 million. Ziggy Stardust, 7.5 million. Aladdin Sane, 4.6 million. Black Star, 1.9 million, which is a fucking travesty.
Mm.
And Five Heathen, 1.5 million. So, do you know what I mean? So, yeah, for my money, that comeback is it was a bit like, obviously ill health, but it was a bit too late. It's just a shame. It like fucking crushed me when he died. Not as much as Prince, but Prince never fucking lost it ever. But yeah, it just really, it pained me. But I think it's what we call a great comeback. If you, please insert which song? Let me find it. 1 second.
I was just looking here. Like,
Cut this out.
how did he release 17 albums in his first
27 in total.
In his first 20 years, though, like between 67 and 87, 17 albums. That is insane.
Oh yeah.
And then, like you said, there's gaps. It then jumps like 93, 95, 97. So there's a few in the 90s. And yeah, there's just gaps in between, and then obviously a 10-year gap, and then that last 3-year gap. But yeah, there is gaps over there. But yeah, I just that's incredible.
If you insert Where Are We Now?
Yeah.
Near Cardiff, just walking the dead. Where are we now? Where are we now?
Great tune. Weird tune, but really good.
But I think as well with kind of, especially with Bowie's last 2 albums, but a lot of his later stuff. So talking like Hours, Heathen, Reality, stuff like that. They all got a bit weird, and it became very much. I mean, Bowie always did whatever he wanted.
You couldn't put him in a genre, could you?
No, but those albums were him like pushing so far away from pop stuff because everyone will always remember Let's Dance, and I know he hated that song by the end.
He stopped playing it live, didn't he? Way before we were ill.
But yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like it did the numbers for him, and it was one of the biggest things Nile Rodgers ever wrote with him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like Nile Rodgers made bank from that more than he ever did from Chic.
Easy.
But, he got to the point where he hated that because it is a pop song. And like the lead single of Black Star was 10 minutes long, and it was in fact it was 9 minutes 59 because you couldn't have it as an iTunes single if it was over 10 minutes.
Yeah. I like Lazarus as well.
Yeah, but like
Lazarus is good.
Yeah, this like Black Star, which is the one I know more than The Next Day. That was a jazz odyssey. He sacked off his original band, who he'd got back for The Next Day,
and he got some bassoons in.
No, he got a quite a famous New York jazz trio.
Yeah.
And said, "Write me some music."
Yeah,
that was it.
The Next Day is really it's really like fucking far out though. You can tell where his headset was, his mindset was. You think to Ziggy Stardust compared to his last 10 years, it's fucking, do you know what I mean? It's a completely different man. And remember a few months ago when I'd watched that Bowie biopic and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's always fascinated me because the man clearly, he admittedly had mental health issues and stuff, and that's why he used to change his pseudonym all the time.
Yeah.
To try and manifest that. And I think as a savant and he is a genius. You cannot not call him a genius. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He literally is. You don't have to be into him. But to see, like Stig says, every year, 27 albums, which some of them are live albums and compilations and stuff, but that's constant working.
In total, there's 25 like studio albums.
Yeah.
That he did, including Black Star. And like The Next Day wasn't that supposed to be a sequel to his to the Berlin tapes and stuff like that, and to the kind of stuff Heroes came from.
Yeah.
And
it's like
it's really good album.
What I've got here, I've got like fucking studio albums technically 27, live albums 21, compilation albums 46, video albums 28, music videos 72, EPs 10, singles 128, charting singles, maybe not top 10, but charting still.
And one ISP. Don't forget, he set up an ISP in the early days of the internet.
Yes, it did. Soundtrack albums 4.
BowieNet.
He appeared on 68 other artists' albums and 12 box sets. And let's not forget the fact that he was a futurist at heart as well. And he absolutely loved the fact that people were downloading his music.
Yep.
He adored it. So, absolutely, hats off to the man. And
he guest starred in a David Cage game.
Yeah, absolutely. Is it the Ascension of the Metatron?
No. Omicron, the Nomad Soul.
Oh, yeah, I'm thinking of that other one, aren't I? I know it's a weird name. Fucking weird. I've never played it.
I wouldn't.
No. He's in Labyrinth. Yay. But yeah, that's mine. So, what have our listeners sent in?
Well, strangely enough, Leroy Francisco's come straight in with David Bowie's return in 2013.
Because he's a man of caliber and taste.
Yeah. Pointing out that Bowie also stealth released Where Are We Now? Because day and date with the announcement, it was on iTunes.
Fucking what a clever man.
Stealth releasing Where Are We Now after a decade out of the limelight. It's such a good song as well. So sad and beautiful. Probably the best song he's done since Let's Dance.
Wow, that's a strong accusation. Yeah, maybe.
Strong accusation.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. I'm trying to think if I've got an argument against it. I don't think I have.
I mean, I like it more than I like Let's Dance.
I do. Yeah, he's right.
I think most Bowie fans would say the same, because I think most Bowie fans don't like Let's Dance in the same way that Bowie didn't really like it.
No. Everyone, if you're a Bowie fan, which most people should be, you're in a club, and if Let's Dance comes on, you're like, okay.
Oh, you will in a club, but you won't you won't stick it on at home, will you?
No, exactly.
You'll stick on Hunky Dory or something. And go
yeah, exactly.
Your man Bobby Wayne has come in saying, I can't believe we didn't think of this. Doctor Who made a monumental comeback in the 2010s. They had a quick run with Christopher Eccleston, which was followed up by the hugely popular David Tennant, who redefined the character in the show, making it popular with new fans and the season alike. It also led the introduction of Captain Jack Harkness from the Torchwood spin-off, who was fabulous.
I stopped watching the Doctor Who's like midway through Tennant. And it's not because I hated it or anything like that. My life just got a bit more hedonistic at that point. So
yeah, you couldn't be at home on a Sunday night watching Doctor Who, could you?
No way.
I stopped watching it after that first Eccleston episode.
He went, nope.
I really like
Stick with Star Trek.
There's some really quality Eccleston episodes. I like David Tennant, even though some of his stories were shite. And I thought his ending, they milked it for 2 episodes longer than it needed to.
Now, they always used to make a big song and dance of the change, didn't they, with the Doctor?
Not necessarily. Like most of the times when they did the regenerations, it was like,
is that what they call it, the regeneration?
Yeah, like Eccleston's was really unexpected because it hadn't been announced that he was leaving. It just happened. But David Tennant's one, it was like normally when it happens, it's like a 5-minute sequence of like he's injured, he says his goodbyes, and he turns into somebody else. Yeah, with fucking with David Tennant, it was like a 30-minute section of an episode. It went on forever.
Was he just like metamorphosizing?
No, he's bouncing around time talking to all the former companions that he's had or the people he's met on his adventures. It's just like,
how many series did he do then?
3.
It's not like he's doing it for 10 years.
do you know what really annoys me now is that because the BBC, they want to chase the numbers and chase the ratings. They announce that someone's leaving and they tell you who's coming in beforehand. Just imagine how much your mind would be blown just sat there watching the final of the latest series. And, oh fuck, he's regenerated.
Doctor Who now?
He's regenerated, she's regenerated. Yeah,
she. Oh,
yeah. So,
yeah.
but I just
cool.
I would just prefer.
Really?
I don't watch the show, but if I was to watch it, I would prefer the surprise rather than, oh, by the way, they're leaving and this is the new Doctor. And then you sat there like for the whole episode going, come on, let's get to the new Doctor. Like,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, they announced this week that Jodie Whittaker and Jodie Whittaker, who's currently playing the Doctor, and Chris Chibnall, who is the showrunner, are leaving after there's three specials next year, and they're leaving after that, and it'll be someone new.
Who's it gonna be? Jack Whitehall?
No, Jack Whitehall's already been just a guest star in it. Because of course he has. Yeah, the worst. I remember they made a huge song and dance when Peter Capaldi was announced as the Doctor.
I always forget that he was one
because it was leading up to the 50th and the 50th anniversary of the show, and it was Matt Smith at the time. And I remember there was this whole hoopla. They put a dedicated show onto BBC Two to show who the announcement was. And the best part was that with the internet reactions to it, there was a very specific video of a young lad, she's like 15 years old or something like
who?
Eagerly waiting for it. And like Peter Capaldi's revealed, it's like, no, he's ugly. Because the thing with New Who, quote unquote, as a lot of people have referred to as the first three Doctors of it were actually quite attractive men, and they got younger and more pretty as they went on. So then
I think Peter Capaldi's attractive.
Well, you went from Matt Smith to Peter Capaldi, who was a man in his 50s with white hair at the time.
I can't put a picture to Matt Smith's face.
That's the
Bit like a foot.
Yeah,
I'm going to Google him.
That's the difference between the older generation, new one, because older people were just like all it was
he's
just
ugly.
making Malcolm Tucker jokes like out of it. So.
Oh yeah, I would have loved Capaldi's Doctor to just walk in Effin and Jeff and just straight
Fuck
away,
off.
just give it, just saying "fuckty bye" to the Daleks and shit. Like that.
How do they make the Daleks cool nowadays? Like, they can't get upstairs, can they?
They can
They
float
fly.
upstairs now.
They fly.
Oh, right.
It's specifically shown in Eccleston's series where they run
I can't
upstairs.
remember, man.
In Eccleston's series, they run up a set of stairs and go, "Haha, that's them beat," and then just start levitating up the stairs and go, "Oh no!" and they run away.
Yeah, but they have to shoot you dead on. So if you just keep running around them, they can't get you.
You just Dark Souls them, just barrel roll around the side of them.
Their ass, yeah.
Just tip them over like a
Tip
bin.
them over, yeah.
Doctor Who. The first few seasons with David Tennant were really good. I liked a little bit of Matt Smith stuff. I didn't like a lot of it.
Sorry, Rob, I'm crushing your childhood here.
His childhood.
His
He's
childhood.
adult when this started coming out.
Hey, well, I can't remember. Still a child to me, Rob.
Oh yeah, Doctor Who. Last up we have Kurt Lewin, best boy.
This will be good.
He's starting off with Oodles. You may want to close your ears for this one.
Why?
But Leeds got promoted the following season anyway.
Oh, for fuck's sake, I know what he's talking about already. Fucking Derby, innit?
I'm talking
Bastard.
the Championship playoff semi-final second leg at Elland Road in 2019. Derby lost the first leg 1-0 at home and were frankly outclassed. No Derby fan was optimistic for the second leg, and when Leeds went 1-0 up in the first half to make it 2-0 on aggregate, I'd given up hope. But then Lampard made a substitution to bring on Jack Marriott a couple of minutes before half-time, which many fans thought was
Scored
odd.
straight away.
But it was a masterstroke as he scored immediately and Leeds were well and truly shaken. Both players and
Fucking
fans. You could feel it in the stadium that they were nervous. Derby came out second half and bossed the game going 3-1 up. Leeds got one back, but Derby held on for that famous win at perhaps their biggest rivals after Forest. The game had extra spice due to the whole Spygate issue. Spygate?
Yeah, Bielsa were spying on their training and stuff like that, and taking notes, and it was weird. It was a bit like football espionage.
Not against the rules. It just
Not against the
it
rules.
Just not sportsmanlike.
And he openly admitted it. We're like, yeah.
The best thing about that, I'm sorry to get sidetracked about this, but the best thing he did about that is when he held a press conference about it, and
Have you
then
been doing it? Yep.
and he made everyone sit there for about 2 hours while he took them through why he did it and the notes that he got from it and how he incorporated it into his training. And he made the press who were at his throat sit there and watch this presentation. He just had their life. They were all looking there for juicy quotes and everything, and he just made them watch this presentation. He's brilliant.
What a boy. I love him.
So the whole Spygate issue. So it was an incredible feeling to win after we looked dead and buried in the tie. It came straight after the Spurs comeback versus Ajax and the Liverpool versus Barcelona comeback, all in the space of a few days. I don't think that week of football will ever be bettered for me.
I'm just impressed you said Ajax.
You've said this before. I do know things, you know.
Ajax.
Ajax.
Why were Spurs playing against a cleaning product? No, I know what Ajax is.
But Kurt, again, you're on probation now. You're not best boy for a while ago.
It's upsetting Big E. Is upsetting you.
I don't like to think about that. I mean, we did get promoted afterwards, so it doesn't matter. Who gives a fuck?
Kurt's just coming in as the heel of our audience, isn't he?
He is, isn't he? Yeah.
Bided his time, didn't he?
Absolutely.
But that's everything written in this week.
Close the P.O. box forever. We're done.
Are we?
No. Yeah, excellent. Thank you for writing in, except for Kurt.
I enjoyed it.
I bet you fucking did. Yes, let's go to the socials and a sneak preview of what we'll be doing next week.
You can find us on Twitter at Modern Escapism. On there, you'll find a link to all our episodes and socials. You can join us for a chat on Discord. We've got loads of channels. We're always active. We're always chatting away. Great people on our Discord. Love them all. If you've got any comments, you can either tweet us or email us at modernescapismpod@gmail.com. If you like to watch Twitch streams, you can find us on twitch.tv/modernescapism. On Saturday, Oodles Fable.
Yeah, or Flight Simulator, one of the two.
Monday, we got Biggie Dies. Biggie's carrying on with his playthrough of Dark Souls. Wednesday, Gadget and Stig, are you still playing Sea of Thieves?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we'll do the next part of it.
That was a good one last week. I enjoyed
Does
that.
does it have the Pirates of the Caribbean music on it?
No,
Oddly enough, no.
it has
It
like
kinda does.
it has like a dun, 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 like it's going to launch into
Yeah.
it, but it never does. And you sit
No,
there,
it goes da 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 da. Just mixing
That's
all
Star
the
Wars.
fucking.
It has Pirates Life for me in the background, just super
Yeah.
slow.
Does it?
The annoying thing was I may catch it waiting around while I was digging for treasure, doing this little bit, and I was like, right, you've got to go here. And you do that, you do that, do
Streaming
that.
content, him watching fucking YouTube videos on where the
I
treasure
wanted
is.
that gold. I wanted the gold behind the
Nothing wrong with
lockdown.
that.
And the annoying thing was, we'd already put the captain's head on his body, and you need the captain's head to put on another skeleton. So we did all that. With the last stage of it, we couldn't
All
do.
for naught.
All for nothing. Didn't get any of the gold.
I nearly put him in the brig. I was very annoyed with him.
Oh, like you did with me that time.
But we got. We
You
did
stole
spend...
the boat!
Yeah, he did.
I'm a pirate. Commandeered.
Yeah, no, we'll be definitely back for that. I really enjoy Sea of Thieves, so.
I'd never be able to
that
play
one.
that game single player, but I like it with mates.
And then on Thursday, I've got my horror stream, Candy's Creature Feature. I'm continuing Those Who Remain. I started it last Thursday.
What's your thoughts so far? Because I haven't watched it yet.
It's charming. It's not the best, but I don't hate it. It's probably going to get a little bit repetitive, I would think.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm only a couple of hours into it, so I don't want to judge it too hard. I did get stuck for an embarrassing amount of time last week, so sorry about that. Probably not particularly entertaining viewing.
Me and Punk did capture some top tier Candy swearing as well.
Oh,
Yeah, I
she's
was on
good at
one as
that.
well. I was on one last week. I sort of accidentally mixed medications and went a bit loop-de-loo. But it was fun anyway. All our playthroughs anyway get uploaded to YouTube, so you can watch it in your own time. Just do a search for Modern Escapism. Do a search in the channels, and we're really close to being given our own personal link as well. So we need a
29 more subscribers, and we can get a personalised link so we can say youtube.com/modernescapism.
There you go. 29 of you just need to subscribe, please, and then we'll have our own link, and it'd be lovely. We've got a Patreon that's already been spoken about. If you like our content and you're feeling generous, you can give us a bit of extra support at patreon.com/modernescapism. 3 tiers, £5 for Modern Escapees, £5 for Scorched Sheep, and then £7.50 for the Biggie Bundle, and that gets you everything.
Whoa.
Next week's subject, in celebration of the 30th anniversary of Terminator 2, we're talking about the greatest robots. So who's your favourite robot of all time? Let us know in a message.
Oh, that could be a long one.
Oh,
And
he's going to
as-
go Gundam, isn't he?
There will definitely be some. There'll be a long discussion on the honourable mentions. Definitely, I'm sure.
Some deep cut Gundams.
I think I know who I'm going to do. I'm not decided yet, but I've got a few ideas. As always, if you've got a minute and you've enjoyed our pod, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. We really appreciate it, and we read all of them, and it just helps us get seen. So 5-star review if you've got time, that'd be lovely.
Thank you very much. And thank you all for listening. If you are a patron of ours, we'll meet you round the back for a quick cig, and we'll have a little natter. But for everyone else, good night. Can't even tell I'm drunk.